News emerging over the weekend that a gathering was held by some folks who are friends of mine, and I've just put a call into them, so it'll be hopefully we can get them on and we can get it directly from them. A gathering was held that the Washington Post ran with as if it was some sinister gathering. You know, any group in America can gather unless they either have any money or they're Christian evangelicals. Those two groups, if they gather, it's a smoke-filled room of people who want to take back this country in an evil, sinister way. But everybody else can gather all they want. In fact, Acorn can gather on Main Street and say and do most anything they want. The environmental groups, LULAC, La Raza, all of the above, that's democracy at work in our republic. Just don't let any evangelicals gather and coalesce behind a candidate. That's bad. That's evil. We must point that out as a terrible, terrible influence on our political process. Well, they gathered at the ranch of Paul Pressler, Judge Pressler. He was a Court of Criminal Appeals judge here in Houston for many years. He's a Christian conservative, very involved, I believe, at First Baptist. For those of you who know Jared Woodfull, the Harris County Republican Party chairman, he's Jared's law partner, or at least was for many years. I don't know if he still is. I assume he is. They are close friends. I've known Judge Pressler for a long time, and across the country, he is very influential amongst Christian conservatives like Dobson, for instance. Dobson was at the meeting over the weekend, along with Gary Bauer, who came as a representative of Rick Santorum. And a vote was taken. And I believe the vote was 115 to 85 on the third ballot for Rick Santorum. Is that right? Is that Judge Pressler? Oh, good. All right. So we have Judge Pressler anyway. I don't have to tell you what the vote is because he'll know. Judge Pressler?
Yes, good to talk to you, my friend.
I should have given you a little more lead time. I apologize. Good morning.
Well, the facts are what they are, and I'll just be telling you the facts.
Okay,
so
I would expect
worry.
Nothing less. I feel like we're on a Dragnet episode. Just the facts, man. Just the fact. Judge Paul Pressler, I was sort of laying out, first of all, what was this gathering this weekend that the Washington Post makes out to be so sinister?
It was a gathering of like-thinking mutual friends to get together and discuss where the presidential race is going and where our country is going.
And who was this invitation only? Because if it was, I'm mad I wasn't there.
It was invitation only.
Judge, I could have driven out to your ranch.
Don't feel slighted. We didn't invite press.
I'm just kidding you. Okay, so it was about 200 people?
About 160, I think, total.
And what was the goal in holding the meeting?
The goal was to listen to the other person, and then see whether we could come to a consensus.
Okay. And so I saw an interview with Gary Bauer a couple of days ago where Bill O'Reilly, and I think somewhat unfairly, attempted to paint what the gathering was going to be, and Bauer made the point, no, everybody's going to make their pitch for their candidate.
I saw that interview. Gary Bauer was 100% on target, and the initial question from Bill O'Reilly was not a valid or an appropriate question.
So there were about 160 people who gathered over the weekend. You would describe these folks as evangelical leaders in this country. James Dobson was one of them?
Well, they were not all evangelicals. There were a number of Catholics there, and there were people of various religious persuasions who share a mutual interest economically and socially in our country.
And the format was each of the candidates had a surrogate who got to make a pitch for their candidate to be the nominee?
Correct.
The goal being, I presume, to try to coalesce together behind one candidate. That was...
The goal was several-fold, for us to be able to communicate with each other with the hopes that we could come to some sort of consensus. The goal was also to fellowship and not everybody be off on his own tangent.
And this was not a formal group that meets regularly the way the Baptist Convention would?
No.
And so as I understand it, Rick Perry did not make it out of the first ballot that was held.
I personally voted for Rick Perry. There were two that emerged with combined votes of over 50%, and so we proceeded to vote on those two.
And as I understand it, that was Santorum and Newt Gingrich?
Correct.
Okay, so then there was a second ballot, and it was on the third ballot that some level of consensus was reached that Rick Santorum would be the candidate.
Michael, you have it more accurately than anybody else with the media that I've talked
Well,
to.
you're not the only person at the gathering I've spoken to, so there's something of a sense of what happened.
Well, whoever's talking to you is giving you the straight story.
Well, good. I consider you a friend, and you've never lied to me before, so I knew if we could get you on the phone, I'd get a good sense of what exactly happened.
I'm not going to start lying to you or anybody else at this age, and I appreciate you very much through the years.
Judge Pressler, at the weekend gathering at your ranch over the weekend, y'all endorsed Rick Santorum. Why do you think that was the case? How did he win your endorsement?
I won't speak for others, but just discussing the issue, it came out about 75% on the final vote endorsed Santorum. A case was made for every person. Nobody for Huntsman was interested in coming. We had representation of Romney and Paul and Santorum and Perry, and I guess that's it. And everybody listened to everybody else, and that was the consensus.
And so a final vote was taken to actually, as a group, endorse Rick Santorum?
No, it was to come to a consensus and let the consensus be known.
Okay.
And it was a 75%, 25% approximately consensus.
Judge, can you hold with me for just a moment?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to have some news, and then we'll go back to Judge Paul Pressler. If you heard various media accounts of the gathering of evangelicals over the weekend and their choice of Rick Santorum, we're going to get the full details on what exactly happened coming up on the Michael Berry Show. So, Judge Pressler, thanks for staying with us. At this gathering over the weekend, how long of a meeting are we talking about?
We started on Friday afternoon and went till about 9 o'clock, 9:30 Friday night, and then we reconvened Saturday morning about too early, about 8 or 8:30, and went to had lunch at 12, and everybody left. Well, Michael, may I say a couple of things?
Sure, go ahead.
Your news broadcast said it was sponsored by, I think, the American Family Association or something. That is absolutely incorrect. It was not sponsored by any organization. It was not, nobody came representing their organization. They came as individuals who happened to belong to or lead a certain organization. And I get appalled at how the media, even on a good station like yours, will read something into a report. Tony Perkins presided over part of the meeting. Bob Fisher presided over the other part. Tony is with the American Family Association, but he presided as a very skilled moderator, a person that is very fair to everybody, and he gave the right right atmosphere to the meeting in the wonderful way in which he presided. And but that didn't mean he was representing his organization. And we have to make it clear that these were just individuals who are known conservatives who are interested in their country and want to express themselves.
Judge Pressler, just to press that point and be clear, because you've said this, that one of the things I read, and again it could have been misreported, was that the Family Research Council was in some way involved. That is not true.
That I donate to it. I like it. That doesn't mean that it was represented there.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to be clear.
Were there. That doesn't mean that it, more than any other of the organization that had staff members there, were sponsoring it. It
okay. Do you know Eric Erickson? He was at the gathering, but I know there were a lot of people.
I met him. I do not know him.
He operates a blog, one of many that I read. It's called redstate.com, and he generally provides pretty insightful commentary, and being there, he reported on it. One of the things he said that I'd like you to speak to is he said, the third thing you should know about this weekend is just how well the Gingrich and Santorum camps handled themselves and how poorly the Perry and Romney camps handled themselves. I won't even get into the advocacy on behalf of Ron Paul, which didn't go well. Could you speak to that?
Yes, I think everybody handled themselves very well. The one who spoke for Romney is a person I've known since he was a child, and I don't know whether I should use names or not, but he is a major supporter of Romney, very much on the team, and he spoke very well. The one representing Ron Paul is a former official in the White House under Reagan, and a person that I have known for years and I have confidence in, and he spoke well. The person who spoke for Rick Perry is a major political donor to Rick Perry. He did a great job. You know him if I told you who it was.
I would assume it's Bob Perry?
No.
Okay.
Bob Perry doesn't go to events like that.
Okay.
And I made a brief speech in favor of Rick Perry. I hope I did it well. I just talked about the caliber of judges that he had appointed. So I will agree that the representatives of both Gingrich and Santorum did an outstanding job, but I would say the others also did.
Now, what happens from here? As a result of this gathering, is it implicit that some of the folks in this gathering that came already with the candidate other than Santorum should now support him?
No. It was informational. People heard what other people were doing and why, and I think that it will have some influence on what people do hereafter, but it was not an implication that if you come, you must support anybody. It's just perhaps you will get enough information in this meeting that will cause you to change your thinking or adapt to something. It was not a forced meeting. It was an open forum. And one of the things we did most was pray. We had an hour of prayer there on Friday night. And it was open for everybody praying. And we started every meeting and closed every meeting with prayer and prayed in between. And there were not partisan prayers.
If we were trying to take away from this gathering, Paul Pressler, the host of this event, if we were trying to take away from this gathering, is it fair to say that there was an endorsement of Santorum? Because that's what Santorum's folks are saying.
I think that the senator's statement was a little overly broad. It was coming to a consensus by a 75 to 25% margin.
Judge, can you hold with me one more time?
Sure.
Okay. I have an important question I think a lot of our listeners want to know. Coming up, Judge Paul Pressler.